It was going great. Key just about goes in. I can turn on ignition. I can turn it off. But once I put the steering lock on, it traps the key. Can't get the key out, and I have to have the steering lock on for my insurance. Question of the day: will that work with that and that on that? Let's find out. One good thing about the Rade Garage fairing kit is when you buy it, you get the pin and fitments for a damper. You don't get the damper, I bought that separately. You can see that fits on there. You get all the hardware required. There's a set of risers, the holes for the damper, reverse damper. You even get a GPS mount, which I've not fitted yet, but you do get one. But what you don't get is any provision for fitting the stock ignition key cover. I think basically because they expect you to get the auxiliary tank, and I'm really not interested in auxiliary tank. I can get about 150 miles out of this. That's enough for what I want, lightweight and local. So I've got to somehow figure out how to fit this back onto the bike with all this on it. I had a similar problem when I fitted the fairing, and I cut out 2 slots here and then it went back on. It's held in by these 2 pins anyway, and it does clip underneath on the bike, so it does actually go underneath the plastics here as well, so it's held quite securely. But I'm going to have to cut away, I think, at this. Fortunately, these are not expensive to buy if I take it off and want to replace it, so it won't be a disaster if it goes wrong, but I prefer it to go right. You can see that the plastic there covers up the pins, so I'm pretty much going to have to take a Dremel or something and cut away the plastic here and hope that it stays on there afterwards. Just to make sure you get some grease in that pin, I imagine. Right, so I'm going to remove the fairing just to do this job, just to get it out of the way really. And the good thing about the fairing is if you haven't got the indicators on it, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on this side, 4 on the other side, and the whole thing comes off. Dead easy. So with the pin in position, you can see it's held by 2 bolts that go into the bracket that holds the headlight. And there's the pin, which rotates, greased. The problem I've got is to fit that surround in, goes around the key, because now the bracket is in the way. They've obviously not thought that anybody would like to have the fairing and the damper but not bother with the tank, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of modification to the plastic so that it will slide in through there. So it's getting there, so it's possible. You just need a little bit of tidying up around there and across the front of there, and that should do. One good thing about having all these masks to keep the plastic out of my inhaling system. So a bit of trimming, but it's gone in, so that's okay. Quite how you get the key in when the damper's on, I don't know, but anyway, that'll do for now. As I say, I think I'm going to get another one of those and use this one as a template and then make another one. But it's okay, you can see the lock, you can see the writing. I just could have got it a bit tidy around the bolts really. Once those 8 screws are out, you can just simply remove the fairing, as simple as that, and it's great if you want to adjust the headlights and get in there. Nothing to it. In this case, I've got to remove the handlebars, just move them forward, remove the bar risers that I've already got in there, which are the same height as the ones that Rade Garage provided. The only difference is Rade Garage ones have the moulding for the bar, for the Rade Garage have the moulding for the damper. The trick with the KTM handlebars is the holes through the top mounts are so that you can tighten up the bolts and make sure that everything is straight. So you go through, fix that on, and then you go through there to tighten them up. I'll show you that in a bit. Okay, so there's the bar risers in position. You can see where the damper will fit on the pin. Not forgetting, as always, some Loctite blue. So here's a neat trick for ensuring that your holders, your handlebar holders, are square when you torque them, in that you can put this bracket on, tighten it up, and then you can tighten them up, tighten up the riser bolts properly with a torque wrench through the holes, knowing that it's square, so that when you take them off, put the handlebars back on, it will all be squared up. So let's go and get the torque wrench and find out what they should be. So once you've torqued through those holes, you can take that off and everything should be lined up. Should be, don't take my word for it. Put the damper, the pin, the damper in position, hopefully. Put that on and put the handlebars back on. Loctite, tighten up. Let's hope job's a good one. Everything was going great. Key just about goes in. I can turn on ignition. I can turn it off. But once I put the steering lock on, it traps the key. Can't get the key out, and I have to have the steering lock on for my insurance. So not quite sure how I'm going to get around that yet, or if I am going to get around that. Plus side, it's easy enough to remove the damper and then do what I like with the key, and it comes in and out. Pull the pin out if necessary. Well, good evening, Codger Biker here, and I've got a new toy. But more than that, I want to look at this damper. So I fit the damper, everything went perfectly well, and then I discovered that I couldn't put the steering lock on. However, I've resolved the issue by going down to my local key cutter, who made me a new key for £10. Thank you, Tesco Tea Cutter, nice guy. So I can use that key, because it's a bit narrow, and I can get it between the link arm and the ignition key to lock the forks. The trouble is, if you don't lock the forks, you don't have a problem, but I have to lock the forks because UK law, or most insurance covers anyway, say you're not covered if you don't lock your forks when you leave the bike. The fact that someone can just come along, kick the bars and break the lock, it's neither here nor there. It's got to be locked. So I've resolved it with that, but I think that the final way I'm going to solve it is to change the link arm. I found one 5mm shorter with an open end. I think that will do the job. Should be here this week, and I'll report back on that. Other than that, works perfectly. I'll pull over once I get out into the countryside and just show you how it works. You probably know anyway, but just in case. I have to say it works very well with the Rade Garage bar risers and the pin holder. All comes as part of the kit, so kit's good value for money for what you get. As you can see, I've also got my new camera on the GPS mount as well as the mount for the GPS. I haven't put the GPS on because I don't need it. Got to stay local. So anyway, apart from the key issue with the link arm, that's a standard 40mm stepped link arm on this one. It's fitted in reverse position. Everything else is fine. It's easy to remove the damper. It's just 2 bolts. Comes in and out once it's all fitted. So yeah, I've got a spare 5mm Allen key in the back of the bike just in case I have an issue. I really like it. It's a real trick piece of equipment, and they do say you only need one in your lifetime. Maybe it explodes and kills you. No, joking. Oh, that's nice. What a great bike. Not quite a hooligan. Alright, mate? Yeah, so the beauty of the Scots damper and why it's probably considered to be the best in the world, ought to be at the price, but if I never have to buy another one, that's good. So you've got your two circuits. You've got your slow speed circuit, which can tighten right up, and then you can hardly move the handlebars, but you wouldn't have it like that because that would stop the high speed circuit working. So I come out 10 clicks, it's nice and smooth unless you do it too hard, and then the high speed circuit will take over if you hit a rock or you've got a tank slapper going on. That's set, I think, to 1 turn out. I haven't touched the default anyway, and it's a beautiful thing, it really is. The only problem, as I say, is the link arm pokes out just enough to catch that key when the steering lock is on, but we've resolved that with a thin key. And I've ordered, as I say, a link arm, which I'll put a picture of, a 5mm shorter link arm, which hopefully will pull that back. It's more like an open fork. This one's a 40mm stepped standard link arm, fitted in reverse position. And to take it off, you really do need the removal tool. It's about 13 quid, but you can do it without if you're careful. So I will swap that over in my next vlog and tell you how I got on. But otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, the whole bike is finished apart from the wheels, which I've been waiting for a little while. I noticed that Lamb Chop Rides had his this week, so hopefully mine will be along soon. But let's just enjoy the riding. It's beautiful. It's beautiful down here. It's beautiful in the countryside. I'm going to go and see my field and see whether he's got anything sprouting on him yet. He may well have, hard to say. This is what we've missed in the lockdown, or this is what I've bloody well missed in the lockdown. Alright, I can't go very far, I can't go into Wales where I want to go, I can't go to any green lanes because there aren't any in range of where I live. But just to be able to get out of the house, oh, so good.